Welcome to the channel. I am your host, Katkatibi, and today I wanted to do a very quick solo episode on something that I feel comes up a lot, and that is, can you hang out with people who are, let's say, degenerate, they are broke, they don't share your values, they don't have the same morals. So I really wanted to get into it, and this is going to be based on my experience as someone who's very Gen X raised. So I was raised by parents. Well, it was like a neighborhood of parents who were working. Both of them were working, or there were single moms, but mostly it was two-parent households. And they would both go to work. And if it was summer vacation, the kids from all ages were outside alone, unsupervised, and it was kind of like a kid gang, just hanging out for months. And I mean, that's what I know growing up. So I can only go based off of what I know. And I definitely don't think there is anything. I don't know. I don't think it's I mean, I would say it's a better way to be raised than to be alone in your room and on the internet, and that's all you have. I think you have to get out there. And so I'm going to go from the place of, I think it was a good thing, and you have to get out there and you have to make friends. And I'm seeing a trend of guys can't be friends with girls and girls can't be friends with guys because guys just want to, sleep with every girl, and girls, I don't know, are stupid, or I don't know what the whole thing is. But so I'm just going to take it from my point of view. So let's see. Okay, let's start with like degeneracy. Let's just go with like religious backgrounds. Let's say you're a religious person, you have very strong morals and values. Should you hang out with people who don't have the same morals and values? And I think that depends. Are you weak? Are you very susceptible to peer pressure? Are you the type of person who would just go along to get along? Then maybe you shouldn't. But if you have strong conviction and you know where you stand and you're very secure in that, I don't see a problem, because you can also be a very big help and you can show people a different way. And I'm not saying that you have to hang out with people who are degenerate all the time, but I'm just saying, if you know them, if you see them, you can still be friendly with them. You can still be acquaintances with them. And if they need advice, you can do that for them. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I have an example of, I have my best friend. She's incredibly religious, and I did not have that background, kind of come and went with that. So when I would have questions about that stuff, I would ask her, and she would tell me all these things, send me like passages, whatever. She was just trying to be helpful. If she had gone with the idea of, we can't talk to people who are not like just like us, then I mean, I would miss out on her. And now that I'm leaning more towards where she is, I mean, I'm very grateful that she was so patient with me and she stuck by me, even though I was not exactly where she is now. I'm not saying I was like a degenerate ever or super non-religious. I'm just saying I didn't know. So I would kind of like go back and forth, like, is this right? Is it not right? And kind of wrestle with that, as you should when you're young. You should be like thinking about that. Do I really believe this? What's the good things and the bad things about this belief, and how strongly do I believe this and why? And I mean, you should be questioning life in general. So I'm very happy that she stuck by me, and pretty sure you're supposed to try to convert people. And how do you do that if you don't talk to anyone who's not exactly like you? It seems kind of silly, but definitely you have to have the strong convictions so you don't succumb to peer pressure before you do something like that. I will say, yes, that is true. And for example, they also say, do not hang out with single women when you're married. And I agree with this wholeheartedly, with one little point. If you are very secure in your marriage and what's going on, you're very hyper aware of the fact, single women will kind of try to poke holes in marriages so that you're single with them because they're lonely or whatever that is. The same with like the your male friend who just got a divorce and hates women. He's going to try to poke holes in your marriage so you can go out to the bar with him, go out drinking with him, or go to the strip clubs with him because he's depressed and he just needs like someone to do stuff like that with. you have to be very strong with yourself first. If you can be strong with yourself, your morals, your convictions, and you know these things happen, and it's the psychology of people who, when they're in a bad situation, they want to kind of like bring people with them so they don't feel so lonely or so bad about themselves. It's a very natural thing. But as long as you know about that beforehand and you're mature enough to know about that, you can be friends with someone who's going through something. Now, you don't have to go with them to the bar. Now, you can say, I'm not going to a club or a bar or the strip club or this or that with you while you're going through it, but I will be supportive with you while you're going through it. If you need to text me, if you need someone to talk to like vent about it, if you need some advice, you can be there for them. Or you can invite them over to your house and you can talk to them. They're in a safe space where they're not kind of like in that self-destructive mode. Let's drink and party so I could forget about my problems. You can have real conversations with them and you can help them get through that. I do not like it when people go, oh, if someone's going through something or someone's broke or someone's this, they're dead to you now. I think that's very horrible. And yes, if they do not listen to you and if they're very combative and if they're rude and whatever, then of course. But I mean, if they're just going through something and this is your friend or someone you've even known for a while and you see they're in pain and kind of like going through it, why wouldn't you want to help them? That seems insane to me. So, let's see. Lonely single men. So there's nothing wrong with having friends where, especially, okay, let's talk about when you're young. This is what is important. This is what I feel like this generation missed out on. So Gen X, we're out there the whole time, and it's very co-ed friend groups. We didn't have this men don't hang out with women. It was just very obvious that yes, a guy would want to have sex with any female that lets him. I mean, I grew up in the time where like it was American Pie. Guys would put it in a warm apple pie. Like they would put it in anything. We knew about glory holes and gas stations, stuff like that. Like, so we just knew like they'd stick it in anything if you let them. So we just knew that. But that doesn't mean you don't hang out with them. Just like every guy knows, if you give a girl like money, most girls will take it, even if they want nothing to do with you. So you have to understand that, like, yeah, we're humans, we're animals, we have motivation. That doesn't mean that all men and women, female, men and women relationships, friendships are bad. They are very useful, especially before you're in a marriage or long-term relationships. You want to have male and female friends of all, as many diverse backgrounds as you can, because you want to kind of learn female nature from your friends, your guy friends, girlfriends. You want to like just observe people. And how are you going to do that alone in your box? You can't do that from the internet, just looking at people that they select a certain amount of very crazy individuals online to get your attention. And then you go, oh, this is all women. This is what they're all like. Or, oh, this is all men. This is what they're all like. No, there are different templates of people. There's tons of them out there, and you can totally go in the real world and meet a lot of them. There's just a few that you'll find online. You won't find all of them online because there's a whole bunch of people that want nothing to do with the internet. So you have to open yourself up to understanding that there's more types of people than what you see. So growing up in very co-ed friendships, we had the parents would be gone for summer breaks, so we had kids in the neighborhood from as young as 8 years old to like 18, and we're like 30-40 kids in the neighborhood. We just all go meet at the meter box and whoever was there, and then we go video games in whoever's house who got the new video game, whatever. We all sit around, do that. We would, I don't know, just sit and talk about our lives, talk about what's going on, talk about our families, whatever's depressing us. And I don't know, those were some of the best conversations like of my life, because we didn't have there wasn't this big hang up now of like, I don't know, like there's something wrong now where people are just so isolated. They don't know how to have real conversations with people and treat them like people. And I don't know, I just learned so many things by hanging out with people, different types of personalities, what kinds of personalities I like. I remember let's see. So let me try to think of a specific example. Okay, so there was someone who's really good at art. They brought all their art out for the group to look at, and they're like drawing all the time. And we would go, "Wow, you're really good at art. You're amazing. You should like really pursue this." And you go like, "Oh, well, my parents don't like that I do art. They're like, it's not going to make any money or whatever, and it's really depressing because it's the only thing I want to do. I don't want to do. I'm not really good at anything academic." And we would support them. When they didn't have anyone at home, the friends supported, the male and female friends supported them. And now they're a big time artist. I'm not going to say. So that's a great thing. Also, I remember there was this one girl and she liked this boy in the neighborhood. She really liked him. But the father of the girl was very much against it and was like, "Oh, no, you shouldn't hang out with him. He's a loser." And she's like, "But I love him," like the whole classic thing. Like she's like a 16-year-old girl. And the other guys in the group were like, "I don't think he's like a really stable person. And he comes from like a really broken home and he's very depressed and has a lot of anger issues. And yeah, he's really cute and he's really nice to you now. But like, what kind of a father is he going to be? He's failing out of school. I don't think he's like, has any plans for making money to support a family after, and you really want to have a family, and you need to think about those things." This was coming from the mouths of other guys to a young girl. And the guys, like until 18, they're like talking to her like she's their little sister. Now, yes, again, if you hang out with guys and you are like drinking and acting stupid and loose, they're gonna like do what they can with you. That doesn't mean that you can't have a friendship with them, or as long as you have boundaries and standards. Another thing about the drinking thing, I never drank. I do not drink. I don't know why. I don't have that demon, so I don't have to worry about it. It's not something I care about. But I know a lot of people have that. And a lot of girls, especially, have the personality where they're people pleasers and they kind of go along with whatever everybody else is doing because they think it's cool. So alcohol was one of the ways that they would kind of go down a bad route. And since I have to leave soon, since I never drank, and they would see me going through all the peer pressure, especially the younger girls. They would see me going through all the peer pressure with all the older kids my age at the time were asking me to like, "Oh, let's go drink. Oh, you're no fun. You're boring. You don't do this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care. I don't really care." And I remember I had like this whole speech that I would say to them, like making fun of them or whatever. I'm like, "Yeah, I don't do what other people do just because they think it's cool. And I like to be in control of my actions and my mind and my faculties. But, you go ahead and do you." And years later, when those girls that watched me turn down the alcohol so many times became more of the age where like the other kids were asking them to like drink with them or whatever, "Let's do this. It's super fun." They use the same words that I use to turn it down because they got that from watching me. So you can be a good influence to other people. They need to see all sorts of choices. They need to see the girls that say yes and end up drunk and some guy sleeps with them and then they regret it the next day. They need to see that. They need to know that that happens. And they also need to see the people who are not degenerate, the people who don't fall into peer pressure, people who say, "No, you don't have to do this. There's another way. You can say no. This is how you say no. This is how you have standards, morals, and values for yourself." And it's okay to be like that. And you show them it's okay. So, anyways, I think there's a whole lot of people who are trying to say that women need to be in this space and men need to be in this space and we shouldn't come together unless we're married and then never have any friends. And that's crazy to me. And it like maybe you can't control yourself, and maybe a lot of people can't control themselves, but there are people who can. And I think we should strive to be like those people, learn from those people. Why can this person turn down this? Why does this person have stronger morals and values? I wonder like where they got that from, and be curious how they're strong, how they can resist drinking. Find people who are like, "Oh, I don't do that." And then go, "Oh, how did you get like this? How can you not do? I can't say no to like, let's say alcohol with the friends. Like, how do you do that? What do you do when they're drinking?" "I just drink fizzy, whatever non-alcoholic drinks or whatever." Or, "I just don't think about it. I just don't care. I'm there to hang out with them. I'm not there to get like, blasted or whatever the hell." But yeah. So let me see what else before we go. Oh, the other thing about hanging out with co-ed people is eventually your friends will start dating, get married, whatever, and they relationship problems. And again, the common wisdom is, oh, if they're going through relationship problems, don't talk to them ever again because they're going to like bring down your relationship. Yes, if you are not aware that that can happen, you could fall prey to that. Sure, of course. Statistically, that does happen. You fall prey to, if your friends are going through a divorce, they'll like weasel in to try to break you guys up so that they can have their party friends, so that they can go and, you know, to clubs or whatever, because they don't want to make new friends that are single, or maybe like there's an age gap with the kids at the clubs and they have to go back there older and it's awkward, so they sabotage. That is true. They do. But if you are strong in your morals and your convictions and who you are, you can resist that, and you can then be a savior or helpful to your friends going through hard times like this. I remember I had one couple that they were fighting a lot, and they had this mind when I spoke to them separately, like there's other people out there who are more like this or more like that. Because when you get into a relationship, when you're in a relationship for a very long time, some people can forget how horrible it is out there. You can forget, like, and you have like minor little problems, but they kind of build up. And maybe neither of you have really good communication, problem solving skills because you didn't learn them from your parents or growing up. And you guys just let things fester. And then you think, oh, I'll just start all over again with somebody new. Somebody new will be better. When in reality, it's because you don't have those skills. You need to work on those skills. So I would show them things like, this is going to sound really bad, but I would show them like Fresh and Fit or whatever, like dating podcasts that were like the worst example. That's kind of like a Jerry Springer, like today's Jerry Springer. And I would show them that stuff to say like, look, this is what it's like nowadays to date. So you sure you guys can't work things out? I swear to you, by the end of like a few clips and episodes, they were cuddling and they were like, I will never let you go. And I was so wrong. And I'm so sorry for everything. And you know what? You can leave the shoes like that in like the front of the house. You know what? It's not that big of a deal. And suddenly things go into like perspective when you see that. So that's why I'm just saying, like, you know, don't give up on people just because maybe they mess up here and there, but be strong in your convictions, your morals, your values, so that you do not succumb to theirs. And then you can help them. You can help other people. It's totally possible. I mean, there's just common courtesy things like don't drink with the opposite sex if you're dating someone. Don't be alone with the opposite sex, and like anywhere that like sex can happen, do not be with someone of the opposite sex if you're in a relationship. That's just like a simple rule. But at the same time, if you have strong morals and convictions, you can literally be anywhere and you're not going to succumb to it because of your values. But again, if you're in a relationship, you need to talk about these things while you're together. Like for my husband and I'm like, are you okay with this and this and this? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, he's like, I could leave you alone with like, I don't know, whoever like is the most attractive person. Just imagine, I don't know. And I know nothing would ever happen because I know you, I trust you. Maybe they'll try, but I know how you are. And he has seen me, he's seen me turn down people, and he just has no worries about that. So it's not like a thing that he would ever care about or think about. And I think that's great, because you want your partner to have that type of confidence in you. Now, do I have that in him? Yes, unless he drinks, because he does drink alcohol. And I don't think anybody should be drinking alcohol with someone of the opposite sex, period, end of story. Or even with the same sex. Like, I don't feel comfortable if he went to a club with guys to drink alcohol. I think that would be disrespectful. You can have your friends that go to those places, but you don't have to do those things when you're in a relationship. You can have boundaries for yourself. But anyways, that is what I wanted to talk about today, just because it comes up a lot and it makes me kind of like cringe how everybody thinks you cannot be friends with anybody else. I mean, I grew up Gen X, so we were all friends, all ages, all races, all shapes and sizes. We're all friends. And that's how we learn to communicate with each other, learn to navigate life. And sorry, I'm still sick. And that is why we should get off the internet and opposite sex. Yes, most of the time people will be rude because they're scared of people now. People are scared of talking to strangers. They think everyone's a threat. But go 100 times, you'll find one. Just do it. Just like try and get used to being rejected by people because they're so scared of other people now. The girls that I know, like from like when I did media and stuff like that with influencers, these young girls, they're terrified of the opposite sex. It's so weird. It's very strange. We've never been like when I grew up, everybody had male and female friends. This is just mind-boggling to me that this has come up. But get some friends from both sexes. I'm not saying do degenerate things with them, but like learn to talk to people in a non-sexual manner, in a friendly way. And you'll be surprised how much you can learn about people that you don't have to date 5,000 people. Just have a bunch of friends of the opposite sex and you get a gist for how the opposite sex will think. And also they can be good like to bounce ideas off. I remember there was a coworker and I would ask him about stuff when I was dating my husband. I'm like, okay, he did this, he said this. What does that mean? What should I do about this? And blah, blah, blah. Cause like I'm all like paranoid. Am I doing this right? Am I gonna whatever? For dating, I wasn't very confident. So he would give me tips and stuff like that. And I tell you, it was so helpful and it was so calming just to have somebody who was married be able to say, this is what you do, this is what you do. And then he was rooting for me. And then I got married and, you know, my husband and him like would just hang out. And my husband like thanked him. She's like, oh yeah, she used to tell me that you gave her all these advice to trick me to like marry her quicker. And thank you for that. I'm so happy now. And the guy was like, no problem, man. And you know, you're a good guy and whatever. And that's my friend and whatever. And you tell that to people, not like, oh, you had a male friend. You can't talk to a male. You're a female. You need to be in a box. What? This is insane. At the same time, my husband has female friends from school and he's like, oh, I need to make a big order, calls female friend who's in his same business and says, let's make a big wholesale order for what we have to do. And yeah, they come over because like they're married now with kids. So they come over for dinner with their kids. This is my husband's female friend and her husband and their kids and me and my kids having dinner. Yeah. Be a grown-up. You can be friends with anyone. It's people who cross the line. Don't be like that. All right. So that is all for today. I hope that made sense. And I did not write down a good outline today, but I will try to do better. I just wanted to say this because it's insane. And that's all. Have a great day, guys. And see you next time.